Tyler Perry wasn't exactly the name people expected to be trending that night, but he was. Viewers tuned into the 25th BET Awards for the usual glitz, glam, and viral one-liners. What they didn't see coming was Perry, the famously reserved Hollywood mogul and longtime friend of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, grabbing the mic and basically lighting a match under their public image. He didn't throw punches with his tone, but the message? It landed hard, like a slow burn that cut through Meghan's carefully managed persona with surgical precision. Back in 2020, when Meghan and Harry dramatically exited the royal family, it was Perry who came to their rescue. He handed them the keys to his lavish $18 million Beverly Hills estate, covered their private security, paid their expenses, and essentially gave them a soft place to land in Hollywood. At the time, it looked like an act of compassion, a big-hearted move from someone who understood what fame could do to a person. But behind the scenes, that generous friendship slowly started feeling one-sided, and according to Perry, it became emotionally draining and financially lopsided over time. So when he got on that stage, it wasn't just a feel-good speech, it was a moment. Perry didn't need to say Meghan's name. He painted the picture loud and clear, telling a story about opening up his home and his heart to someone who disappeared once they got everything they needed. Some folks borrow blessings like they're owed, but never return the favor, he said. And even though cameras didn't zoom in on any shocked faces, those in the know instantly recognized who he meant. Sources say Perry had kept his mouth shut for years, quietly absorbing the emotional toll, but this time something inside him snapped. Insiders point to a specific turning point, when Meghan allegedly asked for use of his private jet. She brushed it off as a simple favor, not even pausing to discuss the cost or logistics. When Perry declined, not because he couldn't afford it, but because he felt used, Meghan reportedly didn't take it well. That moment, he later confided to close friends, was when the dynamic shifted. What started as a kind gesture between friends had become something else entirely, a pattern. Meghan, he believed, had started treating relationships like stepping stones, favors as transactions, friendships as PR tools. And Perry wasn't alone in feeling that way. People close to him, staffers, colleagues, even producers, had been warning him for a while. The whispers all said the same thing. Meghan doesn't return favors. She stacks them like poker chips and cashes in when it suits her, then ghosts you when she's done. Still, Perry ignored it at first. He truly believed he was helping two people in distress. But as the Netflix deals, Spotify paydays, and million-dollar brand moves rolled in, with zero sign of thanks or reciprocation, it became clear that Meghan had no intention of giving anything back. So when Perry stood on that stage, telling that story, it wasn't just about her. It was a warning. Even the kindest, most generous people have their limit, and when they reach it, they stop staying quiet. Meghan's entire image had been built around being the misunderstood royal, silenced by the crown. But Perry, he wasn't the royal family. He wasn't a tabloid. He was the man who gave her everything without asking for anything in return. And now, he was the one pulling the curtain back. In that moment, the world saw a different fairy tale unfolding. The one where the rescuer becomes the revealer, where the soft-spoken mogul turns into the truth-teller. And the timing couldn't have been worse. Meghan and Harry had just begun shopping around a new documentary all about power and personal freedom. But in the wake of Perry's truth bomb, everything unraveled. Investors started pulling out. The buzz turned cold. Suddenly, that brand of empowerment wasn't selling. The illusion had cracked, and the one person they could always count on had finally walked away. And Hollywood? It doesn't usually pick sides in public scandals. The industry is built on polite silence and mutual favors. But Tyler Perry isn't just anybody. He's a one-man studio, a giant with both money and morals. So when someone like him takes a stand, especially against someone he once protected, the industry listens. The fallout came fast. Phones started ringing early the next morning. One producer who'd been attached to Meghan and Harry's new Netflix project pulled out within hours of the BET broadcast. Another investor who'd already been through 2 meetings simply said, "I'm out." This whole thing feels toxic. It wasn't about the content, it was about the people behind it. Meghan's name, once considered a golden ticket for any platform pushing inclusivity and social justice, was now setting off alarm bells. Over at Archewell, Meghan's PR team went into full crisis mode. They reached out to top outlets, desperately trying to spin the narrative. The goal? Make Perry look bitter, old school, misunderstood. They dangled exclusive interviews, behind-the-scenes footage, even teased a potential podcast clapback. But none of it worked. Journalists didn't bite. And worse? The spin came off as exactly what it was: damage control. The harder they tried to flip the story, the more people started asking, what are they hiding? Behind closed doors, the drama deepened. Friends close to Perry said he never wanted to go public, but after years of emotional manipulation, he felt he had no choice. Apparently, he'd been sitting on this decision for months. The private jet request wasn't even the final straw. Neither was a vague business proposal Meghan pitched without a plan. What pushed him over the edge was realizing she wasn't just ungrateful, she was actively using his name to open doors. One source revealed that Meghan name-dropped Perry during a pitch meeting in early 2024, implying he was backing her new media company. He had no idea she'd done it. And when that news got back to him, he was furious. That's when he decided to speak out, not to start drama, but to protect his reputation. And just like that, the floodgates opened. Others started coming forward. One of Meghan's former assistants described the vibe behind the scenes as emotionally draining. Insiders weren't holding back anymore. They claimed Meghan was obsessed with controlling every storyline, demanded full loyalty, and had a habit of icing out anyone who dared to challenge her authority. A producer who had worked closely with the couple on their now-defunct Spotify deal said it bluntly: Meghan's need for perfection suffocated every creative spark. She didn't want collaborators, the producer said. She wanted, yes, men. Even Oprah's inner circle, once seen as one of Meghan's most powerful connections, began quietly stepping away. Sources revealed that communication between the two camps had been non-existent for months, and when Tyler Perry's Bombshell speech went viral, Oprah's team stayed completely silent. No defense, no subtle signs of support, just distance. One by one, Meghan's allies were vanishing. She had built her public identity as a modern woman's icon, empowered, independent, brave enough to break away from the monarchy. But now, that image was unraveling. And the people unraveling it weren't bitter strangers or tabloids. They were the very same people who had helped her, protected her, and, in Perry's case, even given her a roof over her head. What started as one man's subtle truth-telling turned into a full-blown public shift. Meghan Markle was no longer viewed as untouchable. She had become a headline not because of unfair media scrutiny, but because the narrative was crumbling from within. And the damage wasn't just to her reputation, it was hitting her wallet too. Reports began surfacing that Netflix was quietly reassessing its long-term relationship with the couple. Other investors were backing out before anything was signed. Over at Archewell, Meghan's foundation, sources confirmed that multiple internal projects were quietly paused. New hires were suddenly frozen. Budgets were being reviewed line by line, week by week. The brand that once had Hollywood buzzing and corporate doors swinging open was now surrounded by hesitation and hushed phone calls. The public perception Meghan had spent years shaping, one of a woman who bravely stood up to royal oppression, was cracking. She had been seen as a symbol of modern feminism, a woman silenced by a centuries-old institution. But now, stories of emotional manipulation, entitlement, and behind-the-scenes drama were shifting that story. Social media began turning. Hashtags that once trended with love and support were now flooded with criticism, memes, and viral videos comparing Meghan's actions to those of someone out of touch and power-hungry. Even loyal fans seemed unsure of what to say, and the media, which once rushed to publish flattering features and exclusive interviews, started backing away. No one wanted to be the next platform accused of falling for the illusion. Inside her camp, panic had set in. Meghan, according to insiders, was furious. After Perry's BET moment exploded online, she reportedly sent him a flurry of messages, accusing him of betrayal, public humiliation, and damaging her family's legacy. But Perry didn't respond. Not then, not later. He was done. And that silence? It was deafening. Friends close to Perry confirmed what many had suspected. He'd been emotionally pushed to his limit, pressured for years to keep giving, stay quiet, and show blind loyalty to someone who treated loyalty like a business transaction. More voices joined in. A well-known publicist claimed Meghan's team had tried to blacklist reporters who dared to ask questions that weren't pre-approved. A former Archewell consultant said Meghan would routinely reject expert advice if it didn't align with her personal version of the truth. One former staffer didn't hold back. Working there felt like gratitude didn't exist. The accusations didn't land like gossip. They landed like puzzle pieces snapping into place. The pattern was too clear. Meghan's behavior, they said, wasn't chaotic. It was calculated. Control, image, power, all wrapped in a curated PR package. Even major Hollywood players who usually stayed silent began choosing their words carefully. Studio execs whispered about how difficult it was to work with her team. One even joked that dealing with them felt like playing chess with a mirror. No matter how you moved, nothing ever reflected back honestly. Everything was spin. And then came the data that really stung. A national poll revealed that public support for Harry and Meghan in the US had dropped by more than 30% over the past year. In the UK, they were already polarizing. But now, the backlash had gone global. Sponsors started disappearing. Partnerships that had once seemed inevitable were quietly canceled. Meghan's once rising media empire was beginning to look less like a powerhouse and more like a cautionary tale. Through it all, Harry stayed mostly quiet. Some insiders say he's behind the scenes trying to hold things together, trying to salvage what's left of their public image. Others believe he's just tired, exhausted from years of media wars, royal fallout, and now watching their support system fall apart in real time. Tyler Perry didn't shout. He didn't name names. But that's what made his words cut so deep. His speech wasn't rage, it was reality. And that made it lethal. It didn't just reveal one uncomfortable truth, it exposed an entire pattern. And in an industry where reputation is currency, Meghan Markle just learned the hard way. You can be exiled twice. Once from the royal family, and now from the culture.